In the stillness before dawn on a cold February morning in 2026, Nancy Guthrie sat at her worn wooden desk inside the adobe home she had loved for more than 4 decades in Tucson, Arizona. The Catalina foothills were quiet, the desert sky still inked in blue-black shadows. At 84, her hands trembled slightly as she picked up her pen, pausing before the first word, as if measuring the weight of what she was about to say. This was not a casual note or a birthday card. It was something deeper, something she had carried silently for years. She began writing to her youngest daughter, Savannah Guthrie, not as the confident mother the world believed her to be, but as a woman, reflecting honestly on a long and complicated life. "My dearest Savannah," she wrote, "I was never as unbreakable as I appeared." When silence turned into national headlines, just days later, that private letter would take on a meaning no one could have predicted. Nancy's sudden disappearance on February 1st, 2026, transformed a quiet Tucson neighborhood into the center of a nationwide search. What began as a missing person report quickly escalated when investigators found unsettling signs inside her home and discovered her medical monitoring device had gone offline. The case drew attention not only because of the circumstances, but because of her daughter's public role on Today. Savannah, joined by her siblings Annie and Cameron, pleaded publicly for help, her voice steady but heavy with fear. Prayer vigils were held, neighbors organized search efforts, and strangers across the country shared her photo. As hope mingled painfully with dread, the family clung to faith, believing that somehow she would return home safely. A community holding its breath. As days stretched into a week, concern deepened. Nancy's health challenges made the situation even more urgent. She relied on daily medication, lived with heart complications, and had limited mobility. Friends described her as independent but physically fragile. The thought of her being alone without assistance was unbearable. The Tucson community responded with remarkable unity, gathering at local churches and lighting candles in her honor. Social media filled with messages of support, strangers offering prayers as if she were a relative of their own. For Savannah, balancing public composure with private anguish became an act of strength few could truly understand. Each update from authorities carried both possibility and fear. In those tense days, the family experienced what so many others have endured in similar crises, the exhausting cycle of hope rising and falling with every phone call. The news no family wants to hear. On February 10th, 2026, authorities confirmed what everyone had feared. Nancy's body had been discovered in a remote area outside Tucson. Investigators indicated that the circumstances suggested a tragic criminal act, though many details remained undisclosed. The announcement cast a heavy silence over the city and beyond. For Savannah and her siblings, grief arrived not in a single wave but in layers: shock, disbelief, heartbreak. Public condolences poured in from colleagues, viewers, and friends who felt they had known Nancy through Savannah's stories over the years. Yet no amount of sympathy could soften the personal devastation of losing a mother. In that painful aftermath, the letter Nancy had written just days earlier emerged as both a comfort and a profound reminder of the emotional truths she had long carried quietly. Sharing a mother's words with the world. In an emotional broadcast on Today, Savannah read portions of her mother's letter aloud. Her voice trembled, but she did not look away from the camera. It was a daughter honoring her mother, not a journalist delivering news. Nancy's words revealed vulnerability she had rarely shown openly. She admitted to carrying worries about finances after her husband's death. to questioning whether she had been enough for her children, and to hiding her health fears so she would not burden anyone. Viewers saw not a public figure's polished composure, but raw humanity. The letter had not been intended as a farewell. It was a private reckoning. Yet in sharing it, Savannah transformed it into something universal, a message that even the strongest among us carry unseen doubts and longings. Roots in Kentucky soil. Long before headlines and heartbreak, Nancy's story began in Fort Wright, Kentucky, where she was born in 1942. The small town, nestled near the Ohio River, shaped her early values of faith, discipline, and community. Raised in a Catholic household during the post-war years, she learned resilience from parents who believed in hard work and education. Teachers remembered her as bright and spirited, with a particular love for writing. At the University of Kentucky, she studied journalism and discovered the power of storytelling. Those college years were formative, not only academically but personally. It was there she met Charles Guthrie, a thoughtful engineering student who shared her faith and optimism. Their courtship was simple and sincere, built on shared dreams of family and adventure. In 1963, they married, beginning a partnership that would define much of her adult life. Building a life across continents, marriage carried Nancy far from Kentucky's rolling hills. Charles's career led the young couple across the United States and eventually overseas. In 1971, while living in Australia, Nancy gave birth to Savannah, completing their family of 5. 2 years later, they settled in Tucson, Arizona, where the desert landscape became home. Nancy devoted herself fully to raising her children, creating a household grounded in faith and discipline. She volunteered at schools, organized church activities, and built a network of friendships that sustained her. Neighbors recall barbecues, laughter, and the sense that her home was always open. Those were years of stability and joy, marked by family hikes in the Santa Catalina Mountains and Sunday services filled with gratitude. Few could have imagined how quickly that stability would be tested. Widowhood and unshakable resolve. In 1988, tragedy struck when Charles died suddenly of a heart attack while traveling for work. Nancy was 46, left to raise 3 teenagers alone. For her children, it felt as if the ground had disappeared beneath them. Yet Nancy responded with quiet determination. She returned to work in public relations at the University of Arizona, using her journalism training to support her family financially and emotionally. Friends admired her composure, though they later learned how much she suppressed her own grief. She became a pillar within her church community, supporting other widows and mentoring younger women navigating loss. Her children saw strength. What they did not always see were the sleepless nights and private tears. Nancy believed her role was to steady the ship, even if it meant anchoring herself against her own sorrow. A daughter's rise and a mother's pride. As the years passed, her children built their own lives. Savannah pursued journalism, encouraged from the beginning by her mother's belief in education and independence. After graduating from the University of Arizona, she climbed steadily through local and national reporting roles before becoming co-anchor of Today in 2012. Nancy followed every milestone with pride, clipping articles and celebrating awards. She attended family weddings, cherished time with grandchildren, and remained the quiet supporter behind the scenes. Though age gradually limited her mobility, her enthusiasm for her family never waned. Photographs of her late husband and her grandchildren filled her living room. Faith remained central to her daily routine. To those who visited, she seemed content, her life defined by devotion and gratitude. The truth she wanted remembered. In her letter, Nancy reflected not on achievements but on character. She wrote about wishing she had been gentler with herself, about mistaking endurance for strength, and about learning that kindness matters more than recognition. She told Savannah she treasured the friendship that had grown between them as adults. She thanked her for balancing ambition with compassion. Most of all, she expressed hope that she would be remembered as fair, faithful, and genuine. Those words now echo beyond her family. Tucson mourned a beloved neighbor. Viewers mourned the mother they felt they knew. Yet her true legacy lives not in public tributes but in the lives she shaped. From Kentucky beginnings to Arizona sunsets, Nancy Guthrie's story is one of devotion, resilience, and a final, heartfelt reminder that even the strongest hearts long to be understood.